listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I am your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
Hey, man, I'm feeling a little bit humbled because on the way back here, I had my daughter's trick-or-treat basket full of candy, and just out of nowhere, Jacob Rodriguez punched it out of my hands. Rightfully so. That was my bad. That was on me, J-Rod. I will not do that again. All of the candy is hers, and you can have. Well, no, you can't have any. I think he made it clear that the candy is only for her. Anyway, J-Rod's everywhere. He's just all over the place.
I tried to tell everybody about Jacob Rodriguez. I've told it now 2 weeks in a row because we've done 2 weeks of guest appearances on other shows and previews. And I said, hey, you will see it coming. There's nothing subtle about the peanut punch coming from Jacob Rodriguez. You will see it coming. It is inevitable. You will just scream at your TV at the ball carrier, hang on to the ball, and it's not going to work.
It will not work.
2 weeks in a row, he's made me look very, very smart to people that I honestly couldn't care less about their opinion of me.
Sure.
But
it's such a pure shot. It's like seeing Steph Curry make a three. We're not an ounce or a millimeter of net was unscathed, and not a bit of the rim was even slightly touched. Just, I mean, the most perfect dead center mass, whatever you want to call it. It's not like he's, hacking away and bruising people's forearms. He is honed in, and he's making the tackle at the same time. Even if he missed, he's still going to tackle the runner or the receiver or whoever it is. They're still coming down. But yeah, now they're without the football, which is great. Great for us.
Imagine being us.
Yes.
What
a world.
Had the game ended 29-20, that would have been about what I was thinking. It was tough, back and forth, close for basically the entirety of the game. Yes, you would have ended up winning by 2 scores technically, but it felt like it was in the balance until it wasn't today.
Yeah,
and you had you saw it happen basically against every other opponent this season, except for probably Arizona State, but mainly like early on in the season, teams were gassed. Tonight, this afternoon, it was Avery Johnson, gassed. And at the moment that we started seeing on the broadcast that he was gassed, you're like, yeah, but he's still gashing us, man. He's still carving us up.
Right.
And then he started giving you the ball. They talked about it on the broadcast. Because it was Jason, whatever his last name is, and RG3. Jason asked RG3, like, hey, what happens to a quarterback as he gets fatigued throughout the game? He said, typically it's going to be his accuracy is going to go down. And it did. You saw him even more erratic with the ball. But then, like, the turnovers, just floodgate opened. He threw you the ball. But also, like, he got chased down finally. He got caught from behind by Romello Height, that I thought may not be coming back in the game with how he went out of the game 2 series prior to that. Got caught, lost the ball. The thing that will probably put the biggest smile, if that's even possible, on Shillwood's face about that play, all 3 of the linebackers were sitting there ready to go. That ball could have bounced up to any one of them. Mm-hmm. John Curry, Ben Roberts, and J-Rod were all there ready to pick it up. It was beautiful. Also, I know it's been taught and coached into this team, and it's something I just love to see. You're seeing ball carriers cross the goal line, 2 hands on the ball. You saw John Curry do it.
Yeah.
A backup linebacker / defensive back, or however you want to like, picked up the ball. He crossed the goal line, 2 arms on the ball. That is 100% coached. And we're not going to be a team that's going to have the ball knocked out or dropped before you cross the goal line. But I just love it. I think we first started seeing it with Dickey, and you're like, that's great to see. That's good coaching, but everybody's doing it, and it's like, man.
I think Brooks did it too. I kind of think Brooks did it last year. I have to go back to the tape.
Well, instilled from Taj Brooks, man. Just keep that rolling. Texas Tech ends up winning. I don't know if we ever said this, 43-20. They talked about in the broadcast early on in the game. Texas Tech had typically been outscoring opponents 15-1 average score at the end of the first quarter. You were down 7-0. Once you took the 9-7 lead, you never gave it back. You scored 12 points in the second quarter, 17 in the third, 14 in the fourth. Your offense got things rolling. I think mainly because your defense was giving them more opportunities, and the dam broke. The momentum snowballed on Kansas State because of what your defensive pressure was providing. You had short fields. You were being very efficient at that point late in the game. Obviously, the separation came late. But it came because of your depth, your relentless nature on defense, and everything that came along with that. I want to start with defense, Michael. Avery Johnson.
Just keep it rolling.
Avery Johnson, 15 carries, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns, a long of 46. He averaged 5.9 yards per carry. That average dropped by probably a couple of yards in the last few minutes of the game. He was, I think, averaging close to 7 yards a carry until right there at the end. Let me look at sack adjusted rush yards, 136. They finished with 120. So you had minus 10 yards on sacks. Yeah. Again, until the very end of the game, like, it was backbreaking to watch Avery Johnson carry the ball, and it was infuriating that still a weakness of a Texas Tech defense, regardless of who the defensive coordinator, who the players are in the field, that a mobile quarterback can eat your lunch. And it happened today. I mean, 15 carries, 88 yards. That's not a ton, but it felt like he could just do no wrong. He could get whatever he wanted whenever he wanted it, until he couldn't. But
yeah, I got sick of, at the start of the broadcast, that was all the announcers wanted to talk about was 2023, the 5 touchdowns.
And it looked like we were heading that way.
I know, but at first I was thinking, yeah, buddy, but check these guys out. And then, oops. Avery Johnson's still really fast. He's still really elusive and pretty smart with the football. He can be. I mean, his first pass was an interception, so I don't want to talk too much over my skis here. But he did, he had a third touchdown called back too, that I think it was holding on Kansas State. So he ran for 3, obviously 2 only go in the books, and he had 3 or 4 really big gashes on this defense. And as good as this defense is, it was just really frustrating to see them get in the backfield and then have an awful pursuit on him, or just flat out get outrun by him. We're not used to seeing that. Hopefully we're not going to see a guy like this again this season.
Well,
I said hopefully.
Bear Bachmeier next week is the only guy left that could even come close.
I don't know if he's as fast though. He's a little bit
shifty.
bigger. Yeah, I'm not saying he's not shifty. I'm not saying he's not like it's going to be just a piece of cake. But I do think Johnson's kind of his speed is just it's impressive, and how quick he can get to that top speed too. But man, that was frustrating. I'm glad that Tech got it under control. unfortunately for K-State, that was about all they had were Johnson's legs. And then once they started to fail and he was trying to do too much because they were down by 2 scores, yeah, like you pointed out what RG3 said, it just started to snowball on them. And this defense is just relentless. That was something that we talked about on our preview episode is, yeah, they've Kansas State had a good 4-game stretch coming into this game. And every single game they lost was by a single possession or less. You know, one of them was 1 point. I think 2 or 3 of them were 3 points or something. So it says a lot that to go to their house and on a day where Tech's offense really did not light the world on fire, this defense did. They absolutely did. And they had some other plays that I'm sure we'll get to that we don't get to include into these stats because they were taken away from them, justifiably or not. But this
You don't
was...
want to start that fire, man.
No, I know, man. I'm sure you're just poised and ready to go. I'm so glad that we won because I feel like I might have just joined and hit mute and let you go if Tech had lost, because I think it would have been just an absolute stoning of any Big 12 official. But yeah, sorry. Back to defense. You
Stop it.
Keep rolling.
Just put it
keep
down.
rolling.
Push it down.
Push it down. You're good. You're good.
Defensively, okay. I'm gonna roll back to let me look at it. I'm trying to figure out where to go. I found it impressive that you held them to 63 plays, and it felt like those came faster later. If you look at the time of possession, you had a dominant you had a dominant advantage, especially early. I'm trying to find that number now. You finished the game 33 minutes to 26. I think it was like 11 or 10 and a half to 4.5 through the first quarter.
Yeah, and second half was 20 minutes to 10 minutes, pretty much. You doubled them in the second. I'm sorry, the entire first half, you had the ball for 20 minutes. They had it for 10.
Yeah. You did to Kansas State what they have done to you. You held onto the ball. You had relentless defense. You forced turnovers. As the game started to get away from you, it snowballed, and this is exactly what they have done to you. You did to them. It's a close game until it wasn't. They picked up 325 total yards. They had 126 rushing yards, which I think is a season high given up by your defense. 88 from Johnson, 199 through the air, but you held them under 50% completion. I think the game plan was really to get it to Jace Brown and Garrett Oakley. They ran it 30 times for 4.2 yards per carry. Again, I think a lot of that came from Johnson. Joe Jackson, 10 carries, 25 yards. Jace Brown, 2 carries, 10 yards. And Rice, I don't know his first name, D. Rice, 3 carries, 3 yards. So you held the running back and anybody else not named Avery Johnson to 15 carries and 38 yards.
Sheesh.
And then it was Johnson that carved you up. I'm going to say that for 88 yards. It felt a whole lot more than that. And I'm grateful that I feel like it was more than that, and it really wasn't. You know what I mean? Like just the perception of it. And he finished with 2 touchdowns. He did have that third that got called back. It was interesting. I had just changed a diaper. I came in, I saw them score, and I was like, "Oh, that sucks." And I took the diaper outside, and then I came back inside, and they still have the ball. I was like, "I thought they just scored. Like, what happened?" And somebody was like, "I wasn't looking." I was like, "Oh." They must have moved him back. and then you ended up holding him there, which was fantastic. You forced Johnson to throw 2 interceptions. I think he had thrown 2 interceptions all season, only 1 in Big 12 play. So you doubled him up there. Fumbles, you forced 3 fumbles, recovered. Did you recover all 3? I think you
Let
did.
me see. Yes. Forced
So you took
fumbles.
5 turnaways from a
Yep.
Kansas State team who was really, really good at being in the plus turnover margin on the season.
Stingy, as they like to say.
Morton threw an interception himself, and then you lost a fumble, and it was, oh my gosh, it was really frustrating. You had just held Kansas State on a 4th down attempt. You tackled Avery Johnson by the line of scrimmage, and you felt really good about it. And then the very first play, they get tremendous pressure up the middle, and before Cameron Dickey had like secured the handoff, he was getting brought down, and he lost the ball there. And it stayed alive right into a Kansas State defender.
Yeah, I mean, and I could see him beating himself up about it, but like you said, they blew up the line. He did not have time to even really secure the ball. So I hope I'm sure he's not thinking about it too much now, winning by 23, but I know it really bugged him right then because he knew the same thing that you just mentioned. The momentum had shifted. Defense got tech the ball back. Let's go. And then fumble. Oh man, that's gotta hurt.
All right, so I'm going to read some stats, and it's going to feel like it's going to feel dumb that I would have something negative to complain about here. You ran the ball 44 times for nearly 200 yards, 4.5 yards per carry. And at times, it felt like very much so that Kansas State was dictating the line of scrimmage on a defensive line that we had pointed out. One hadn't that was their weak point along their defense. And when you run for almost 200 yards, I was like, well, okay, you did what you wanted to do against a team like that. But there was a lot of times where like they were getting pressure. Morton had some guys in his face. A lot of that, now I'm thinking about it, was probably coming from blitzes and coming from Romaine and the guy that is next to him. I'm blanking on his name. The other linebacker that's really, really good for them.
Purnell,
Anyways,
maybe?
yes, Purnell. Golly, Des Purnell. That linebacker duo is it's like ridiculous. They're so good. If they had a defensive line, you would be talking about them as much as we're talking about Jacob Rodriguez and Ben Roberts and John Curry. Morton, I think he had 1 scramble where he picked up positive yards. Otherwise, he finished there with 4 rushes, minus 14 yards. Jacoby Williams, 17 carries, 135 yards. Cameron Dickey, 21 carries, 68 yards. So it was much more Jacoby Williams' day when he was just making people miss and not going down. But your 2 running backs combined for 38 carries and 200 yards. That'll play. And I don't care who does it. I don't care if it's Jacoby Williams one week and Cam Dickey the next. Like, we've seen each one have their turn, and you just play whoever's hottest.
Yeah, I think I wrote down one of Williams's longer plays where he made at least 3 players miss, and I think that happened on at least 2 plays. There may have, maybe the other one I'm thinking of, he only made, quote unquote, only made 2 players miss. But there were guys there that should have gotten him, but he not then, not that day.
Yeah.
So fast and shifty. Jeez.
Let's talk about the passing game for a second.
Oof. Okay. Welcome back, Terrence Carter Jr., though.
Yes,
My
fantastic.
goodness.
Love to see him back. He had 4 catches, 81 yards, and they were all huge.
Every one of them felt game changing.
I mean, when you average 20 yards per reception, and long of 38, 4 catches on 5 targets, 62 of his 81 yards came after the catch. Unfortunately,
Yep.
no touchdowns for Mr. TC. Virgil was 9 targets, 5 catches, 72 yards, a long of 42, no touchdowns. Caleb Douglas, it's so frustrating because it happened like as I typed out complaining about him not catching the ball. He doesn't have like a spectacular catch and it ended up being marked short, even though you probably could have argued he was closer to the line to gain than what they marked him. It feels like there are times when, at least on the broadcast, it looks like he takes a play off, or maybe isn't expecting the ball to come his way. And then the ball's there and he drops what would be considered from a spectator's perspective to be a fairly easy catch. But he finishes your leading receiver, 12 targets, 8 catches, 82 yards, 2 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns.
Well, he did get that touchdown on the drive where they marked him short.
Yeah,
Reviewed it somehow, still said he was short.
Yeah, he scored twice on the same drive. But
I
yeah,
mean,
just 2 touchdowns technically.
fantastic that worked out in your favor. We would be singing a lot different tune if railing on the refs if that drive ended in 3 or you didn't end up scoring. Morton, I think, fairly good, not great day. And I hope that it's a continue like this is him coming back and getting, transitioning back into a full starter role. I don't feel like he took any terrible sacks.
Yes, he did.
He did. What
Yes.
am I forgetting?
It was on 4th down. Of course, he had, I'm going to butcher his name,
Yes.
Samalo chasing him. Hey, I'm going to I will concede to that battle as well. But it was on a 4th down, and he was backing up. But I don't know what the number was, but it was like a 15-yard sack. And it's like, brother, you got to get rid of that. Or you got to roll to your left and at least get out of it and get out of it, because he just backed straight out. He still would have been in between the tackles. It would have, if he'd have gotten rid of it, and he would have had to chunk it too just to get it to the line of scrimmage. Anyway, there was so much wrong with that. That was probably my biggest beef with his play today was that sack, because at that moment it just felt huge because the offense hadn't been able to get anything going, and here we are on a 4th and whatever it was, taking a gigantic sack, which is just basically giving them field position.
Yeah,
got to be better on that one.
It took some time to get going. Offensively, I mean, you started the game with an interception, then you punt, turnover on downs, punt, a 3 and out, 0 yards, and then field goal, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, punt, fumble, punt, touchdown, end of game. Your red zone offense was still atrocious. A lot of it came because of a combination of false start, pre-snap penalties, and then play calling where it was a slow developing play. Where like this may have been like that same sack or that same series where you started like 1st and goal from the 5, and then you ended up having, I think you kicked a field goal.
Well, that was a big sack too. Or at least the series I'm thinking of, that was a bad sack.
Yeah, because it was like a slow developing play, and they got a lot of pressure up the middle on you instantly.
Yeah, I don't feel like that one was as much on Morton as the first one I mentioned. Yeah.
And then there was a strange instance where you came out of a timeout to either then take a timeout or to have a very bad play call set up. I don't know.
On the 4th and 1. Where we had
potentially.
to settle for a field goal. 4th and 1
Yes,
false start.
because yes, that's what it was. You came out of a timeout. Excuse me. 4th and 1. And
Everybody moved but the center. One of those.
Yeah. You had like a weird motion coming in, and then you settle for a field goal there. Like there are instances of this game where, like, had you lost it, you can like point to like there was you special teams, man. Like, what are we doing? You missed a PAT, you muffed a punt, maybe two. You do have a shot at a kick return, and then again, from the broadcast view, looks like a lot of options. Like you could go like left or right with some space, and your returner ran into a crowd and got tackled. I think it's asinine that we're rotating kickers, or we had been at least up until this point. Like, we're in game 9. What are we doing? I'm glad that maybe the doink and in on the field goal attempt after a timeout, maybe he got Stone Harrington's mind reset after missing the PAT, which I think more came from a bad snap than the holder having to like bring the ball all the way across his body. May have thrown the timing off a little bit. It didn't, like I said, it didn't end up hurting you, but there were multiple times where like the special teams wanted to mess things up. That's not the way to say it, but you know what I mean. But then it comes back to your defense, man. Like, I want to read you the Kansas State drive chart
Please.
and tell you how like they erased everything. Interception on Kansas State's first drive, touchdown, turnover on downs, punt, fumble, touchdown, punt, so 3 and out, touchdown, turnover on downs, fumble, turnover on downs, 3 and out, punt. So the stretch of when they took the ball over, when they scored their final touchdown with 12:44 left in the fourth quarter, and then had the ball for 4.5, maybe 5 minutes, and did turnover on downs, fumble, turnover on downs, punt. Like, that was a snowball, because like I said, your defense just erased it. And like all these things, absolutely terrific game for Texas Tech to come out and win this one. You got the monkey off your back. Not that there was like some kind of weird historical gremlin sprinkling bad juju dust on the field because, oh, you haven't won this game since 2015. You haven't won in Manhattan since 2008. Like, it's not, that means nothing really when you're playing in 2025. But to win in the fashion you did, to out Kansas State, to win on the road, to get players back healthy, and Terrence Carter and Baron Morton, to reestablish some momentum. Not that you didn't have momentum last week, but like it was a very weird, hollow feeling win following a loss. Now this feels like, okay, we got 2 wins now after the loss to Arizona State. It feels like we've kind of re-solidified our direction. Yes, there are flaws. There are pieces of this team that are incomplete or imperfect. But it also feels like you figured things out and you are rolling in the right direction. Whereas not that long ago, you're like, man, I don't know what this team's got. Winning the way you did today, going back to a 23-point victory, whereas you were beating everybody by 23, 24, 25 points now, except for Arizona State, feels like you've reestablished your position within the conference race. Obviously, when you lose, that calls into question. And then with the way that things happened last week, yes, you won big, but there were so many questions, and the injury to Hammond and not having the success you wanted to on offense around that, those questions are gone. You've got a great opportunity set up now, hosting game day. You get BYU back in Lubbock. You open up as a 8.5-point favorite, which I thought was big. It's a big number. I would love to beat BYU, an undefeated BYU, by 23 points. You were 7.5-point favorite today. Would love to see that play out. Let's get to some comments and then look around the rest of the Big 12. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Or anything else you want to touch on? I rambled. I bounced around.
No, I mean, the only thing I wanted to touch on were two things. One, I did appreciate Leftwich trying some direct snaps and kind of getting that into the mix. Morton has been obviously coached and told not to run the football, which I think is the right move. Texas Tech can't afford that. And so I like that in some of these situations where ideally they might want to run, they may want a direct snap. If Hammond was available or something like that, then all right, we'll just do it. Snap it to Dickey or snap it to Williams. I like that as opposed to bringing in another personnel that, anyway, that just makes it more complicated. The other thing I wanted to mention is, when you were talking about how the game felt and how it went, no offense to Oklahoma State, but you're right. Last week just kind of felt like beating a, not, I don't want to say FCS, but a non-Power 5 opponent. You just kind of didn't know what you had. And with all the turmoil on the offensive side, especially, you really didn't know. But kind of seeing everybody back. I'm using a phrase that we haven't heard much this season, but we heard when McGuire was hired, which was complimentary football. And I think we got a really good dose of that today. I would say the defense was more than complimentary. I think they overdid their part of the work. I don't know if it was 70-30, 65-35 or what. It wasn't 50-50. I think they pitched in probably a little bit more in the win today, which is great. That's what you want to see. You want your defense to step up when your offense is struggling and vice versa. They can complement one another and give your offense some time, give your defense some time to rest when the offense can move the ball. So, I mean, we got to see a lot of that today. Scored on 6 straight drives. Would love to see some red zone improvement to get into the end zone, which is something we've talked about, and it's kind of getting picked up on these broadcasts and stuff too. It's not a uncommon thing. But yeah, with that, let's see what we got on some comments.
One more thing that just reminded me of something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because it came up in the comments here, and I want to touch on it now. I think one of the other glaring things that has me concerned is, especially when games get close and tight, game management, clock management.
Oof.
Questions, man. I don't know.
First half.
I don't know if it was asked in the post game or if it will be asked about. What the thought process was and running off all that clock before you attempted that 4th down. From my perspective, it felt like you were preparing to not convert and to give Kansas State as little time but possible, which I guess, okay, hindsight here, had you not converted and left them with like 90 seconds, you gave them a lot of time to go down a short field. But the way you slowed it down and then ran all that clock off, and then, you converted with like 15 seconds left. So I guess you would have left them like 45 seconds, but it felt like once you didn't pick up the first down on 3rd down, you were playing for a long field goal attempt, knowing that Kansas State was going to get the ball first in the second half. And that's just not I didn't like that approach. It worked out. It did work out. You You nailed that 55-yard field goal attempt by a mile. Harrington had yards left to spare. And then Kansas State did nothing with the ball with the few seconds they had left, or if they had any. I don't even think they had any time left now that I think about it. And there was another instance. I'm only sticking with the field goal in my mind here, but it was like some of those seconds you're going to need those, and it feels like this has been something that has hurt you in other games. Yeah, you have the time when you scored very quickly against Arizona State, but again, you were down. You needed points. You'll take them whenever you get them.
Yep.
Yes, you would have loved to have converted, to run the ball a couple times, to get that clock moving, score with a minute left instead of 2 minutes left. But it is what it is. I wanted to see them, ideally. This is coming from somebody that's saying I'm making it an issue when it's not one. You convert on the 3rd or 4th down, and then you press it and you get a touchdown instead of settling for a very long field goal, or at least a field goal attempt in the mid to low 40s instead of 55 yards. No, it didn't end up mattering because you scored there. Kansas State did not score on their opening drive in the second quarter, or sorry, the third quarter. And you continued to whatever, There were just
maybe
some
that was
questions.
the play. Maybe that was the play. Maybe they just felt really confident in Texas Tech's defense coming out in the first half. Maybe that's something they discussed and said, you know what, we'll just get some points, or try to get some points here, and then our defense is going to take over. Maybe that was the thought process there. And if that was the case, they were right, because that was J-Rod's second punch out of the day when Kansas State came out from halftime. Their first drive ended in a fumble. So, okay, maybe they had something there, but man, I'm with you. You have 3 timeouts. You get the ball left with a minute 42. You don't use your first timeout till there's 24 seconds left on the clock. That just felt wrong and weird. And then whatever that play was to try to I don't know what the play was on 2nd and 10 that Morton ended up scrambling, and he got a gain of 6, and Tech had to call their last timeout, and he scrambled towards the hash, which would, to me, make it a harder field goal attempt. You feel like you want to be in the middle. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Harrington wants to kick from the left when he's facing the goalpost, but that was just another brain scratcher of what if the goal is to just kick a field goal, don't run to the side. Don't make Harrington have to kick it from the far side of the field. I know geometry. That makes it a longer field goal than what they're even going to give it credit for. And then Kleiman's whole act of just being beside himself of
I assume
getting the snap off. Who cares? What's your deal?
I assume like he wanted a delay of game called against Tech for kicking that ball. But like,
you see that all the time
with the way, like the timing, like when it wasn't like you called a timeout and then a second or two went by and then Texas Tech snapped it and we kicked it. Like they called it and they granted the timeout split second before the snap was being, like, it wasn't like it was planned out, like you were wasting time.
Right, and there was precedence. He had already done something. He had already run 50 yards down the field to call a timeout previously in the game. So this is he's shown that he's going to wait till right up to the snap to call a timeout. I mean, he just did it, and then he did it here and gets plussed that Harrington got to get a practice kick. Well, that's the risk you take if you're going to try to quote unquote ice a kicker. I don't get the process. I would rather the kicker be out there and just immediately have, all right, you got one shot, good luck. That would be my philosophy almost every time. as opposed to, because then you see this exact same thing happen, and the coach doesn't lose their mind. The kicker misses it after the iced timeout, and then play resumes and the kicker makes it. Didn't happen today. I think he doinked it in. I think he made them both technically, but
Yeah.
just that's the risk you take, man. If you're going to call a timeout right there, live with it. If he gets a practice kickoff, so what? You're not going to change the future. You should have just not called the timeout and made him go out there and make a kick.
Yeah. All right. Last sunrise. RG3 is a very good and smart football analyst. This is going back when we were talking about when he was giving the opinions or his observations about what happens when a quarterback is fatiguing and what's going to happen.
He has some insight here and there that I do find valuable, but
quarterback related, yes.
Is all that stuff just kind of
the stiffies?
Yeah, it grates on me. Some of the things he's trying to throw into the universe there it's a little tough.
I also felt like he said some questionable things when Texas Tech played Kansas too. I can't remember, but it was it getting dicky with it?
Oof. Yeah, I think it was. I think that was it.
All right. Going back to when we were talking about defending a mobile quarterback, I don't think it's a weakness. Avery Johnson, is just that good with film, with practice, with a talented defense. I did not like us stunting and opening lanes. That was coaching that could have been better. Yeah, I mean, it felt like he very much took advantage of when the Texas Tech defensive front looped and were doing the things they were doing, twisting. He followed the hole that you made yourself. Yes, there were some pass lane integrity issues, which was a concern I brought up. It wasn't so much that you got upfield and you ran past Avery Johnson. It was you twisted and created openings for him.
Right. And number 78 did a really good job of holding on every single play. Very helpful of him to wrap his arms around our rushers and just make them drag him every single play. Good job by him to open up some lanes on Johnson's weak side there.
I'm not falling for the bait yet, Michael.
Okay.
Holding strong.
All right. Good job by you.
All right. Someone said Coy Aiken dropped a touchdown pass early. I didn't see it. Was a clear wide open pass he dropped. He also muffed the punt. Does he have a catching problem? I don't remember him dropping an early touchdown pass. I watched the first quarter, but I was out of the house watching on my phone. So I don't remember.
I remember it was I think it was contested. I think there was a helmet in his way, or kind of could have been I don't know. I felt if I'm thinking of the same one, I think there was a helmet in the way that could have hindered him from actually reeling that one in, but maybe not. It's hard for me to remember that one.
Morton underthrows deep balls a lot. I don't think his arm is as strong as it was before surgery injury. He can throw it deep well, but I think he lost about 5 yards of his range. I think we saw that with the that 4th and 1 shot down to Douglas, that 4th down shot to Douglas. Had he hit him in stride, there would be no review and going back and all that nonsense. He just strolls in. But Douglas had to come back for it. Defense caught up with them, and then you had the stretch. I assume it was because there was no down the goal line angle of a camera angle to show when another body part of Douglas, whether it was his thigh or his chest or whatever, touched the ground where the ball was. The angle you got was like shaded back behind him a little bit. So like from that perspective, the ball's gonna look further downfield. It absolutely looked like the entire ball was across the line, not even just breaking the plane.
Yeah, which it doesn't have to be. Yeah. And to go back to what the commenter said, Morton's deep passing today, passes of 15 yards or more, he was only 2 of 6 on the day, and one of those might have been that late touchdown to Douglas. But I'm not entirely sure about that. His mid-range, he was pretty solid, though. That's in that 5 to 15-yard range. He was 8 of 12 on the day. That's 67%. But, yeah, the deep passes, I think I've kind of seen the same thing, but I don't know. I think that's it is what it is at this point.
He's also really good to his left. So, looking at the quarterback progression here on the stat broadcast, he's 4 for 4 on screen left, 3 for 3 on short left, 2 for 2 to mid left, and 1 of 4 to deep left of 15 yards or more. One of those, I think, was that just dime he dropped over the shoulder to Virgil. It couldn't have been placed any better. Like,
Yep.
there's another one that I think Virgil overran, where like he had to slow down and allowed the defender to get up to him a little bit. Had he slowed that down a little bit earlier on, may have been in a better position. It still hit him in a spot where you would expect him to have a great shot to catch that. But
was that the one where the defender ran him over and wasn't
there
even looking back at the ball?
There was some contact, yes.
Okay, all right. It's just throwing that trot line out there, just waiting for you to catch.
Last sunrise, I see why we ran the clock down on 4th and 1 before the half. If we didn't convert, KSU has time to put a drive together. Yeah, I
they had one timeout.
And one time, and yes, had you not converted, and you left him a lot of time, it would have been another tick in the column of bad game management and clock management.
That's true. We would have been complaining about that instead of what we got, which was a made field goal. So
yeah,
hey, that was points.
Yeah, sorry. D Wayne said same with ASU. We gifted him 3 points before half because we didn't convert. So
yeah, maybe that was it.
Okay, Jacob asks, number 9 Vanderbilt lost, 10 Miami lost earlier, number 8 Georgia Tech is losing. Will Tech be a top 10 team? Do you want to check out who's ahead of us?
Well,
how they're doing?
I think that if those 3 drop out, then
you're
I think
10.
everybody just moves up. So I think that's what we're looking at, unless the only thing that could throw a wrench in it is if the voters just love plucky Texas's win over top 10 Vanderbilt at home. How far will they vault Texas? And of course, that's just sour grapes on my part.
I'm not passing Texas Tech.
All right, they better not. But yeah, Georgia Tech has the ball, but they're down by 12 right now. They just
lost. Yeah,
they did. Oh, dang. Okay.
Okay, so
3 spots opened up. Go ahead.
Ohio State won. Indiana won. 3 and 4 did not play. Georgia won. 6 did not play. 7 won. 8 did not play. 9 lost. 10 lost. Notre Dame, though, they won. Number 12, Notre Dame. So there's some spaces in front of you opening up. Sorry.
8, 9, and 10
play.
lost.
8, 9, 10. 11 did not play, or is not playing.
So yeah, if three of them lost, boom. Texas Tech's top 10 team, even if they don't shuffle anything.
Tennessee's 14. They are currently down by 9, 8, halfway through the 4th quarter. So they would be the closest one that would jump you. Hosting an 18 ranked Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's winning that one right now. Who else? 15. Virginia won by 10. Louisville was 16. They won by 12.
Yeah, and they were on the road at Virginia Tech. I mean, Virginia Tech's not.
But
this year.
You were on the road.
That's what I'm saying.
By 23.
Right.
So yeah, definitely could be a top 10 team. Maybe 10. Working your way back up for a top 10 matchup with BYU. There's a number 8 that didn't play, by the way. That's who it was.
No, Georgia Tech was number 8.
Sorry, they're 10. BYU is currently 10, yeah?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
They were
sounds. Yeah,
tied for
they are.
10. That's what it was. They were tied for 10 with Miami. I got it.
We're
The
there.
old noggin's working. Okay. Scroll back up. We talked about this live, but 99 Relic, this is why you wanted to give them no time in case you didn't make it. This is the 4th down conversion where you ran off a lot of clock. Calculated aggression is what it was, not over aggression. Going for it with too much time. Handled beautifully. Hindsight here, I agree. In the moment, I hated it. D. Wayne says after Tech converted, the first play was a deep shot towards the end zone to TC. Yeah, I mean, it felt like you were trying to get closer. After that first play, you had 14 seconds. You threw the deep shot, didn't make it. Then it felt like you settled for a field goal. Last sunrise, sorry, my 1-year-old was eating my phone and must have typed that. Must have been the praise for RG3, or maybe it was just it was sarcasm. Jacob comes back and says Georgia Tech just lost. D. Wayne, why was Kansas State forced to use timeouts before the half? I heard the commenter say something about it being related to clock. It's over 5 minutes. What rule is that? I think what it was, Texas Tech was trying to run some time off the clock and ran out of bounds. And historically, before the rules changed, when they were trying to speed the games up, that would have stopped the clock until the next snap. Now, if there's more than 2 minutes left on the clock, that clock will restart once the ball is reset. It doesn't continue to run had they gone down inbounds. I was really frustrated about our running backs going so far out wide and then ultimately going out of bounds. It ended up saving Kansas State just a few seconds. Had, they tackled our runner inbounds, and because it was more than 2 minutes left, I think it was that, and they were trying to preserve as much time as possible. They also, Kansas State took a timeout, and it felt like they didn't need to take a timeout.
Yeah, I felt like Tech should have taken that timeout. I think it was on. Well, are we talking about the same one? The very first timeout that Kansas State took, the one that I talked about earlier, where Kleiman ran down the field. I think it was on the 4th and 1, and I was thinking, I was screaming that Tech should be taking this timeout, and Kansas State did, and then Tech came out, and I think that was a false start or something when they came back. But maybe you're talking about a different one.
I was thinking about the one where it, like, for whatever reason, it wasn't that play when Kleiman ran down the sideline to take the timeout. It was a spot in the game where it felt like the clock had stopped and then called a timeout anyways. All right, let's look around the rest of the Big 12. There's one game ongoing. Otherwise, you had 6 games today. Obviously, Texas Tech wins 43-20. Houston, we give them any bit of praise and positive momentum talk, and they lose to West Virginia. You can't handle a modicum of success. So screw you guys. 45-35. West Virginia found an offense on the road against I would have said a good defensive team. Way to go. You had a shot at 11-1. You would have missed the Big 12 title game, unfortunately. Still 10-2, but losing to West Virginia is a lot different than losing to Arizona State. There are now huge questions about what's going to happen the rest of the way out. And maybe Fritz was too busy interviewing across the country this week. He just wasn't, his mind wasn't right. We talked about openings, Michael. Forgot to mention Arkansas's open. So that's a job to be considered.
We've mentioned that.
No, I know, but
before.
We ran through like all of the Power 4
Oh,
jobs
last
that were
week.
open, and I missed mentioning Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
I also said something in the Discord today, and I don't think anybody picked up on it. And I want to make sure that the joke lands. Texas Tech it was halftime, and they were immediately showing the Georgia-Florida highlights. And I said those DJ Lagway highlights hit different now because he's going to be your starting quarterback next year. You're going to bring him home. Mm-hmm. Nobody caught it. Nobody said anything because you need a starting quarterback, and he's pretty good. Just gonna say it. It's pretty good. He would be pretty good under a Leftwich offense. Baylor beat UCF like a drum, 30-3. See, like this is what happens. You start to question Dave Aranda and the Baylor
Yes.
Bears, and they come up with something like this: a 30-3 beatdown over a UCF squad that looked like they were figuring things out and weren't going to just go roll over and play dead. Arizona State in Ames, without Sam Levitt, without Jordan Tyson, wins 24-19. Maybe Iowa State is just really reeling in injuries and who's not playing for them. I have not checked up on their availability because I couldn't care less. I just saw that when Levitt and Tyson weren't playing, I was like, oh man, that's going to be rough.
I know. Interesting thing about that game, neither team scored in the fourth quarter. All the scoring was done by the time they entered the fourth. So yeah, 24-19 Arizona State. Yep.
Both teams had big second quarters. Each team scored a field goal in the first quarter. So they combined for 6 points. Then they combined for 27 points in the second quarter. And then combined for 10 points in the third quarter.
Yeah, so Jeff Sims, the quarterback that came in for Arizona State, 13 of 24, 177 yards. But
But
get
where did
this.
he get it? 228 rushing yards.
Yeah, 29 rushes for 228 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had 3 touchdowns, 1 passing, 2 rushing. He averaged 8 yards per carry. He had a rush of 88.
That'll do
at
it.
one point.
Well,
He did have an interception, but man, have yourself a day, Mr. Sims, on the road. Welcome to the Big 12. Kind of glad that Texas Tech doesn't have to play you again. Maybe, possibly,
Kansas
probably
takes down Oklahoma State as they should have, but gave up a lot of points and do it 38-21.
Yeah, and it was pretty close there for a little bit. Hang on, I had that pulled up and then I clicked the wrong button.
Oh, there it was.
Yeah, so I'm not sure who's. Yeah, Oklahoma State actually scored first. It was 7-0 at one point. Going into halftime, KU was only up 10-7.
10-7. Mm-hmm.
And then rattled off a couple of touchdowns in each of the third and fourth quarters to put it away. But yeah, some fight from the Cowboys today up in Lawrence.
Another team. This is in the brief recap I can read. Kansas overcame a sluggish first half to trounce Oklahoma State. That's basically what we said last week. I mean, that's just, it's like a thing surrounding Oklahoma State. Like, it's so much weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona just continued what Utah started and just beat the absolute brakes off Colorado at home. This is 2 weeks in a row that Colorado got pantsed in front of their home crowd. Gave up 100 points and scored 20. They lost to Arizona 52-17. Colorado's points came in they scored 7 in the second, 7 in the third, 3 in the fourth. Arizona did not score in the fourth quarter. It was 52-14 to start the fourth quarter. They scored 17 in the first, 21 in the second, 14 more in the third.
Dion kicked a field goal down 52-14. Okay. That's a decision.
The line, Arizona was a 5.5 point favorite. 5.5 points.
The over-under was 51.5, so that was already gone.
They covered it themselves.
Yeah.
And then Cincinnati and Utah currently playing just started the second quarter. Utah is up 14-7. I'm gonna turn that game on when we get off here. But
just for all of you baseball fans out there, top of the ninth, Blue Jays are up 4-3, 1 out, no one on. Baseball. I'm gonna pull up because
if they don't score here, I mean, that game's over.
That's it. This is it. This is top of the ninth. There's 2 more outs. 2 more outs, and then
2 strikes. Oh, they have 8 and 9 batters up. So yeah, you get BYU coming into town next week. Oh, wait, sorry, one more. The RR for life, Red Rider for life. UH had a very emotional week. Their strength and conditioning coach passed away. Yeah. I don't know if it was this week or last week, but it was recent.
Yeah, that's
So
true. Yeah, I don't. I mentioned that to my wife today because I saw I remember seeing it come out. I think it was while we were recording 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was Sunday morning, and it was just wild. You know what cancer does to people, and how it, even though it's a slow, painful path, it's also very sudden when that time hits, and it was just very tough to think about a guy who was on the sideline actively doing his job while Texas Tech was there in Houston, and then just 2 or 3 short weeks later is no longer there at all. And so I did appreciate what Houston was able to do with honoring him. I liked. I don't know if it was tied together. I assume it was. You know, the black end zones. They had a lot of black accents on their uniform today. The black U of H at midfield, half court. I almost said sorry. They had the ribbon with his initials, the black ribbon. I mean, it was well done. So that's a good point. I mean, that's a tough position to be in, for sure.
yeah. All right, I have to, Michael. I have to. Officiating was horrendous today.
Okay,
What
where
is
are
it?
we going?
Like it was your username tonight. It just got me.
What is a catch?
Yeah,
Do we
because there was
know
a
what is a catch? Therefore what is a fumble? Therefore what is a catch? Therefore what is a fumble? Therefore what is it? It's just an endless list routine that's just never going to be solved. This is just like
so
that box where that someone made this useless box where like the box opens and the hand comes out and flips a switch and it closes the box. And
I
then it
gave that
opens
as a
and the
gift to
hand.
my brother.
Yeah. What is a catch? What is a fumble? We don't know. We don't know. It changes every time. This guy caught it out of bounds. And that was not targeting. There's no way on God's green earth that was targeting. Turned his head, used his shoulder, possibly grazed the runner's face mask as the runner was putting his head down, trying to catch the ball that he didn't actually catch.
Yeah,
I don't
there was
understand it.
that. There was the first fumble that was overturned because it was an incomplete pass.
Oh, wow. Dodgers tied it. I was not paying attention.
I haven't.
Sorry.
Oh, because he just
Is that a
missed it.
solo
Like
home run?
it was. He missed a 2-2
Rojas?
strike up late, up high.
Holy crap. Okay,
Let's
so
see
it's
it.
tied
So
4 with one
I'm way
out, no one
behind.
on.
There it is.
Yeah, I'm live, so sorry. I'm breaking it for you. People listening on Sunday or Monday, they're like, "Yeah, we know." All right. 2 outs. But yeah, it's looking to at least be tied going into the bottom of the ninth.
There will be a bottom of the ninth now.
Yep.
I'm gonna point this out and just say it came from a very well timed comment here. Jacob Smith, Canada is close to having a World Series champion before they get a Stanley Cup, and then that happened. The Blue Jays can suck it. I don't mind Bo Bichette and Ohtani go back to back. No, oh, he went to the wall though. And Vlad Guerrero Jr. One dad as an angel, torched the Rangers. Dad as a Ranger, fantastic freaking baseball. I loved him. He hit some like ridiculous pitch, like things you shouldn't be able to reach, and he was able to hit them with power. I don't mind that. What I do mind is George Springer, douchebag that started a fight with the. He didn't start the fight. He had the hard slide into second base that then Rougned Odor started a fight, but it's because he bat flipped when they beat the Rangers in the ALCS couple, whatever it was. Okay. And I I don't mind the big market team like LA. Like everybody like talks bad about them, like and the Yankees. I can't stand the Yankees. I don't mind the Dodgers. All right. Too tall fabrication. What is a touchdown? CD should have had a first touchdown. That's what I'm saying.
Your hand is not down.
No.
We don't understand it. We don't know if it was just they couldn't, because I think they used the term upheld, which they did limit that language. I don't know if confirmed is even a thing anymore. It's either upheld or overturned, I think.
Yeah.
So that kind of leaves it to, a little bit of interpretation that there probably wasn't enough to overturn it.
Yeah. 99 Relic here says not targeting one of the best hits I've seen, and that was incomplete. I agree.
Mean, it was a bang bang play, and just really did everything he could to not lead with the crown and not aim for the helmet, and then they made the right call there. I mean, at least they got half of it right.
So glad they did not.
And then I think the broadcast team thought the exact opposite.
Yeah, Mike Pereira. Oh my gosh, I can't stand him. He always seems to whatever was called in the field. Well, that's why we're going to review.
He did at least, I think, on the punch out on this. Okay, because it was Pollock, wasn't it? Or Boyd. I think Boyd had the first punch out that was not a punch out, according to ultra slow-mo replay and football moves and whatever a catch is.
Yeah, and he said,
I think Pereira came in on the second one. He's like, if anything, this one was he didn't really have possession of the ball on this one. And I felt like the other one was more of a fumble than it. Just there you go.
Yeah,
nobody knows what they're doing.
This came up in the Discord, but I'm going to share it here. Jacob Smith says, need to take a page from the ACC and let the TV access the replay room audio. Yeah, that's fantastic. When they show what's happening when they're reviewing things and they share what they're talking about. It's fantastic.
A little transparency.
Yep. All right. Going to the bottom of the ninth, tied 4-4 now. So,
yeah,
our Dodgers.
America's Dodgers.
America's Dodgers. Because they're not Canada's Dodgers. Texas Tech wins today, 43-20 over. Yes.
I have one quick thing. Texas Tech soccer.
Oh, yes. Let's hear it.
Bracket was released today. I only wanted to mention it now because we will be recording after their first game. So Texas Tech soccer plays Monday, 11:30 a.m. They're the 4th seed in the Big 12 tournament. They will play Baylor. Catch it if you can on ESPN Plus. That is all. Sorry, man. Didn't mean to interrupt on the screen, but I knew I wouldn't have a chance to get that out till the game was over.
No worries, man. That'll do it for us. 23 Personnel Podcast. We'll be back on Monday. Early episode this week to preview BYU and basketball. Lindenwood on the court. Texas Tech Victorious 43-20. Move to 8-1 in the season. We'll be back. For Michael, I'm Spencer. See you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LVK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.